Hello, and welcome to another edition of 4-9 Sports X's and O's. I'm Ashley Elam.
And I'm Mike Canizales. You're not going to let me introduce myself?
We usually jumped on top of me right off the bat here. By the way, this is Coach Greg Neece from the Anahuac Panthers joining us because you're one of the hottest teams in the area by far. 3-0 in district, and another win this past week. What is working for the Panthers right now?
Well, our offense is starting to click, and we're using the same offense I used at Kirbyville and that I learned from Coach Alvarez, Jack Alvarez, and of course he learned it from Curtis Barbay. So we're in that lineage as far as offense. And then when I went to Newton to work for WT, implemented some of my offense philosophy as far as going fast and doing the hurry up and stuff that they really hadn't done too much at Newton, and just we're trying that at Anahuac, and it's finally starting to click. The kids are finally starting to learn how to line up, and that's the whole magic, because you have different words that mean something to each individual, and they're starting to focus on those words, and they line it up correct. And once that happens, then we don't have very many plays, but you learn how to line up and you run a certain play that's called, and start to execute really well right now.
Now, you've gone up and down that road through East Texas there. You've been to, Kirbyville's assistant coach with Alvarez.
Right.
Then you went up to Newton with your good friend W.T. Johnston.
Right.
Now over to Anahuac. Does it feel a little different to be out of the piney woods and now over onto the west side of
the
Trinity?
It is, because there's no Beaumont TVs over there. Yeah, there's no Beaumont TV over there. I'm lost at night and, when I can't see Channel 12 or even Channel 6. So, yeah, it's a little bit different, and there's a lot of restaurants over there because Baytown's right there, so I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I know you guys start out 0-3 right out the bat, but for the past 3 weeks, 3-0, offenses average about almost 40 points a game. What's the difference between weeks 1 through 3 and now 3 through 6?
Well, the main thing we're trying to do is develop a culture, a winning culture, and a culture of toughness. And we're not the toughest team, and we definitely weren't, going into the season. And we're just talking about mental toughness and physical toughness, and that's some things that you have to be successful. You talk about West Orange, you talk about P&G, talk about Newton. You're talking about some mental toughness and some physical toughness, and that just doesn't happen overnight. So you have to kind of create that, and we're trying to do that. We're running them into each other at practice as much as possible. But on the other hand, you don't want to get guys hurt because our numbers aren't where we'd really like them to be, even though, you can only put 11 out there at a time. And we're shooting up right now at 25 on Friday night. So we're trying to develop a toughness, and there were some situations where, for example, the second game of the year, we're at Edna. They picked us for their homecoming, and they took it to us last year when I was at Newton. They took it to Anahuac, but they picked us for homecoming, and at halftime it was tied. And they were ranked number 9 in the state, number 11 in one of the polls. And then we get to the third quarter and it's a ball game, and then our guys are like, as coaches, we're all excited. I mean, this is an opportunity right here, but our guys we didn't know how to win right back then. And it was like, we still got to play another quarter? Yeah, right. You do. This is the most important quarter. That's why if you hold your hands up, hold your hand up for a quarter, that means something. That's the most important quarter of the game. And so we're starting to get there, and against Buna, when we won that night, we shut them out the second half. So that's a testament right there that our culture is changing a little bit.
Now, one thing you said, you don't have numbers, but you have great facilities out there at Anahuac. When you went over there, beautiful baseball, softball complex, great football field. And if you haven't had a chance to go out to Anahuac, you really need to check it out. It's gorgeous out there.
It's outstanding. They did a great job. The town did a great job. The school board did an outstanding job. Jason Spites, who's a good friend of mine, was the athletic director there, also had his hand in it. And, it's on a 3A program around here, it's pretty much second to none. And one of the things I like, this is the first time, I've told someone the other day, this is the first time that my feet haven't got wet. Because that's one of the things I hate. You hate as a coach, and 2-a-days, and you go on that wet grass, and your feet are wet, and your socks are wet. But, even when it drains real quick, and you're practicing on that turf. So it's very nice, and they did a great job, and we're very proud to be there. Me and my coaching staff and our kids, trying to let our kids know, hey, this is something special that you have here. And not that it makes you win games or championships, because you can go up to Newton, and Newton has not the best facilities, but they got facilities enough to do all the work and play the games, and it doesn't matter to them. So just to let our kids know that you have something special, we're going to take care of it. And I know our town is very proud of what we have.
I know you guys have a great chance to be 4-0 this week against Woodville. Now, however, I mean, I've seen in some circles you guys are actually the underdogs going in. I think that's kind of crazy, but I have seen a little bit of that. Do you feel the slightest bit disrespected by that, because you are guys one of the hottest teams heading into the gate?
You know, Ty Robinson, I would never say that. I mean, he's a heck of a coach, and I know he coaches the kids tough. And you know, we look at them as the favorite, because they're a playoff team. They beat East Chambers last year, and I coached against him one time my last year at Kerberville, and they took it to us. And so we're feeling we are kind of the underdog. And as far as being disrespected, I don't know what type of respect we've really earned yet. We haven't made the playoffs. We don't feel disrespected. We're excited about the opportunity, and I know Ty will have this team ready. And it's a great opportunity for us to get our 4th win in 4 games. So we're excited about that.
But when you're facing an offense that he leads, it's almost like a rugby match, and you're going to get punched in the mouth.
Right,
you know,
yep.
They're going to just keep running it down your throats.
Right, yep.
How do you get your defense physically ready when it's week 8 of the football season? Your kids have
Right.
already been through 2 days. They've been through 8 weeks of football coming up. They're beat up. I
Right.
mean, everybody's beat up this time of the year.
Right, sure. Well, to get them ready, I mean, you kind of have to practice that way a little bit. And you can't, like I said, we don't have 25 kids, but we have to run them into each other. And today was a great day. I'll tell you what was awesome about today at practice was the weather. Finally, we had a little cooling trend at practice, even though we had a little cooling spell a week or 2 ago. But today was great. It was overcast, and the kids were chirping around, having a good time. They were hitting each other, and that was good to see, because early in the year I didn't know if we really were going to hit anybody, but we're starting to come around, and today was a very physical day for our defense. And not that it gets you exactly ready for Coach Robinson's offense, the Woodville Eagles offense, because they're going to come at you, and they're going to give you a straight overhand right from very first play, and then they're going to hit you with a left jab. They're going to get you with an uppercut, and they're just going to keep coming and coming. It's like a fighter, So when you get knocked on your feet, those fighters keep coming at you. So we're going to try to make sure that we punch them in the mouth first. Not that always happens, but that's our mentality going into the game, because you have to be that way or it's going to be a long night.
Now, how big of an advantage is it that you guys face Orangeville and East Chambers at the very end of your schedule to get your team prepped?
Or is that an advantage? That back-heavy schedule, sometimes it could work against you.
Right. Going into East Chambers and going to at Orangeville, and maybe you might need one game to get into the playoffs. That, just looking at the big picture, that's kind of a daunting task. So you just got to make the most of every day and every game. So this is a huge game, and you have to win at least 4 games to get in the playoffs. But you can also there could also be a 3-way tie. Say, for example.
Not that he's already working these things out.
No, I mean, but you think about it, heck, I'm 52 years old, so I think things. I see the big picture now. But we beat Buna, and then Buna beat Woodville last week, and if something happens, Woodville is a better team Friday night against us, then you might have a situation where you have a 3-way tie for 3rd and 4th, and then you go to your point total. So, you look at all that stuff. So it's a huge game. If we're fortunate enough to, we're going to be really happy being 4-0, and it'll be a fun weekend.
Now, just hypothetical situation, when you enter that final week, you see it across different districts. I don't know, is there a point cap in your district about point spreads or anything like that?
Yeah, I believe it's 21.
Okay, so I mean, your focus, first of all, is just win the game.
Right.
But when you enter those kind of last weeks, have you ever been part of a situation where we need this many points or we can't give up this many points? I mean, have you ever been part of that before?
Yes, yeah. It comes into play a lot, especially when you are battling for maybe 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. It comes into play a lot. If you're the cream of the crop, it usually doesn't come into play. But when you're battling for that 3rd and 4th spot, yeah, it does, because you look at your plus and minus against your common opponent, and it comes into play. And then there's a lot of things that go on, especially that last week. And sometimes I know some districts some coaches read the rule one way and the other coaches read it another way, and
Right.
and you might have a big conference call. That happened to us a few years ago, and I know across the state it's different. So yeah, we look at the points, and if you try to score, say you're up 15 points and the game's over, but you're at the 5-yard line,
Got to try to score right
I'm
there.
gonna try to score.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Of course, people are calling you a jerk in the stands, but they
Yeah,
don't
that's
realize
all right.
there's a reason that you have to score right then.
yeah, you're a jerk, idiot, or a genius. You know,
Yeah,
Or
either
a
way.
couple of babbling idiots like us.
We're called
So-
babbling idiots all the time, so I mean, we're used to that. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But we've hit our first time out here on the 409 Sports X's and O's. When we come back, we're going to lighten up a little bit. Going to talk about maybe your previous stops and seeing how I noticed there's some more purple and white on him. He's in black and gold. For a couple of P&G guys, it's weird,
Man. But we got the P&G helmet right in front of him, so.
well, we'll talk more about that coming up after the break. Hello and welcome back to 409 Sports X's and O's. We are joined today by Anahuac head coach Greg Neece, 3-0 in the district. Got to be feeling good right now.
feeling great right now.
For now.
Right.
For now.
You weren't feeling so good, though, about that Red River shootout, rivalry, showdown, whatever you want to
I
call
like how
it
you're looking
nowadays.
at me, and then you go right back to him. Fantastic.
Longhorn fan.
I've been to the game 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
I went twice in the 90s. I saw the last time that there ever could be a tie. I was at that game. And that was a weird feeling because, you know, I think all three of us know, especially you and I, we love to banter back and forth. So,
Yeah,
so when you're at the Red River Rivalry and then there's a tie and everybody's walking out of the Cotton Bowl and no one's saying anything,
Right.
it was a weird feeling. And then the next year, my brother and I went, and that was the first overtime. And OU beat Texas, and there was a couple of kids I'd coached at Moore High School that Matt Anderson won. He was one of the tight ends and played for OU, and I didn't like that feeling.
No.
And then in Mac Brown's last year, I was able to witness that debacle. I remember went to the game, and then at halftime, we went out to the outside of the beer garden and sat there and looked at each other, and we didn't go back in the game because it was like 50-7. It was terrible. And then this past game, heck, we couldn't block them. We kept sacking Sam, and it just, even though it was a 7-point game, we got dominated the whole game. It was not a good feeling.
Now, you get a hard time because he swears he's a native Texan, but he grew up in Oklahoma.
Which is bizarre in itself that you wouldn't be an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah, how did that happen? I
Well,
mean,
my
how
dad-
old were you when you left Texas?
Look, my dad is from Irving, Texas. My mom is from Waco, Texas.
I see him defend himself every time on Facebook
Yeah.
about this.
They had 3 boys, and all 3 of us were born in Garland, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Garland, Texas till I was 8. We moved to Edmond, Oklahoma, which is a suburb north of Oklahoma City. And I remember Mrs. Sparks, my 3rd grade teacher, it was Texas OU week, and who got made fun of that week? Greg from Texas. So I was ticked off, and I'm competitive anyway. I liked him anyway. And so I stood my ground ever since. So it was fun being a Texas fan growing up in Oklahoma because you had banter. You could have banter every day, all year long. So that was great. Now, ironic thing, my oldest daughter, Lauren, she became an OU Sooner. She graduated from OU. So I just want her happy. I tell her, Lauren, I want you happy 365 days a year minus 3 hours.
Right.
So,
That's fair
but
enough
this
to
year
ask.
she's,
She's happy
she's
year-round.
very happy.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So let me ask you this, Coach. When you see a guy like Rashawn Johnson, who is excelling so far right now at Texas, it's another 409 guy, athlete.
Right.
What do you think that says about this community and their athletes?
Well, there's some great football down here, and I don't know if people really realize that, but if you look year in, year out, you look in the playoffs and the deep runs, and at Jerry World, you know, you got West Orange, you got Beaumont Westbrook, you have Newton, teams like that playing, And then you got Shawn as a true freshman going to University of Texas as the quarterback, and then he's their best running back. I mean, he's better than the cat from Carthage. And the Carthage guy's good. He's just not having a great year. And Shawn is one of the reasons why their offense is keeping them in the games. I mean, that run the other day was outstanding. I mean, he should have been tackled for about a 10-yard gain. And I just think what he's doing right now at Texas and what he shows, I mean, the whole Texas fan base, they're talking about this kid. And it's a testament to P&G and Southeast Texas and their coaches and Coach Faircloth of what they're doing over there and the type of football and type of football player, not just the X and O's guy, but the thinking man's football player and taking care of their grades and all that type of stuff. So we are full of great football in Southeast Texas.
Now going from Texas to, I don't even like to call them Texas, Arlington, those Rangers up there.
Right.
You don't understand how hard this guy rode me for years being an Astros fan. A late night text talking about the Disastros and the Lastros, pictures of empty stadiums.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
just
those were
going
not the days.
on and on and on.
Went to the games, the girl now, yes, but I wanted to be a girl now. But yeah, he took me to a game when in 1972, I think it was that first year, and I think I was 5 years old, 6 years old, and I just remember being there. It was raining. I think we were playing Boston, and I remember Jeff Burrows. Vividly remember it was raining, and Jeff Burrows hits he was third baseman. He hits a home run, a line drive home run to left field. And I just remember that, and I've been a Ranger fan ever since. And when we finally started making the playoffs in the 90s, and then that great run 2010, 2011 in the World Series. I mean, I'm a football guy, but I love baseball, and I love Texas Rangers. And WT, my good friend WT, who's passed, he became a Ranger fan because of me. And we would text or call throughout every game throughout the whole year. And what's wrong with Josh Hamilton? What's wrong with Ian Kinzer? Why is he doing this? You know, but being a baseball fan, I love being a baseball fan. So, and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan too, but.
Thank you.
But we're having
Should I just move? I mean, Longhorns and Cowboys, I mean, just get
all
out of the
day.
way.
We could talk about them all day.
Dallas Mavericks, so I'm a DFW guy.
I don't know about the Mavericks, though. I mean, we'll take the Rockets all day, every day with Westbrook and Harden now.
Right.
So I do have a couple questions. One, back to the Rangers. What was probably your favorite season with them? And two, you talked about WT. Can you share some good WT stories with us?
Well, my favorite season with the Rangers was, I guess it was our last year. I mean, Josh Hamilton actually won the World Series when he hit that home run, and we're an out away, and that was such a fun year. And then the ball goes right over Cruz's glove, and my God, it just catch the ball. And
I remember it vividly.
And to find out that the word is that he had scooted up a little bit so he could join in on the celebration. There was 2 strikes. Feliz was on the mound, and they hit it right over his head. He hit it right off the tip of his glove. So that was a great year. That was just a terrible memory that I live with every day. What was your other part?
WT.
WT. You got
a little
some
bit
good
about
stories.
because you were the head coach over at Kirbyville.
Right.
And first of all, how tough was it to make that decision? And it really did seem more of a personal decision to go up to Newton, your best friends up there, WT.
Right.
You knew his health issues. And how special was it for you to
Well,
be able to join that staff?
Well, I learned 2005, Coach Alvarez hired me at Kirbyville. Jack Alvarez and WT were best friends from college. And so I met WT in 2005, and then we kind of hit it off. And then he worked at Kirbyville for 2009, 2010, and we desked right by each other. So we became very close friends and kind of like brothers, actually. I won't say I'm his best friend, but I think that's Jack Alvarez and Brad Morgan and Ty, his buddy Ty. But we became very close, and that decision to go to Newton is pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, people were thinking something was wrong. He got fired behind the scenes. Why would he be leaving? You know, it took about a $10,000 cut, but it didn't matter. I mean, you're going to get your paycheck, you're going to pay your bills, but there's only one opportunity to coach. You know, there's an opportunity to go coach for my buddy. And I went over there as a quarterback coach.
Right, I remember that.
And another good friend of mine is Brian Barbay, and he was the offense coordinator. I was going to be his quarterback coach, and, you know, we were going to work together, and I was excited about that. And then he made the move over to coach with his brother at Jasper and just kind of opened the door for me to be the offense coordinator. So things worked out, and I didn't even get to be a real assistant coach. I was excited about being an assistant coach, and I wanted to sit in the assistant coach's office because it's different being a head coach. It's more fun being an assistant, I'll tell you that. But
Little less pressure on you?
I put my chair down in the assistant coach, and I heard WT say, Greg, Arthur, that's my first name, Arthur, you're rooming with me. Get your stuff and come over here. So I was in the head coach's office, and so we got to coach together, share a lot together, and you know, I got to be with him every day on a personal level, and so you know, I miss him. We all miss him, but I love him to death. And his son, I love his wife. She's a great lady, a very strong lady, Debbie, and then his son's Shawn is doing a great job with his with his occupation, and then of course Drew's taking over the Newton Eagles, and I expect them to be back in Jerry World. And he and I talk every day. Drew does. He calls, and you know, one of the things that kind of hit home was when he told me, he goes, Greg, here's my problem. I'm used to talking to my dad after every practice. They would go talk every day. He'd go to his house and talk every day, and that's gone, and will never come back again. But like I told Drew, I said, look, he already taught you how to coach and run this program. I said, you already know all the answers. You don't have to call me to ask if you have a question. I mean, I'll give you my advice, but you already know because your dad showed you and you've lived it. So just follow your heart and do what's right, and discipline the kids and go win on Friday night.
You have 2 state championship rings.
Yes.
With those Newton Eagles. And notice you're not wearing either one of them today.
No, I don't wear them.
Are you all in on the black and gold now? Is it all Anahuac all the time now?
Well, I don't wear the rings because the kids picked them out, and they're
too big.
They're huge, yeah. So, but they are displayed in my office, and I'm very proud of them. And especially that first year, that was a fun year because that was, you know, the second year was tough. It seemed like there was issues coming up, of course, with WT's health, and we had a fun time. But that first year was a lot of fun, you know, with guys like Corbin Foster, and then Josh and Darwin were juniors, and Tamazier were juniors, and Evander Williams. We missed that cat. He was a defensive lineman. We really missed him this past year, or 2018, because he was kind of our leader. There's a kid named Two Butt. It was nicknamed Two Butt. Heck, I don't even know his name, but he's named Two Butt. Well, he was number 2. He was a heck of a player, and we got to coach guys like him in 2017. It was just a great. The personalities were awesome. Of course, you got Big James Sylvester, and he's hilarious.
Big Onion.
The Big Onion. And so we had a great time coaching over there. I had a great time coaching. I took Steve Fentress, who was my offensive line coach. I brought him over. He became our offensive line coach in Newton, and I took him to Anahuac with me. So it was great memories at Newton, and, you know, I wouldn't mind coaching there again someday. But right now, it is about the black and gold, and we're excited about the opportunity. And we're 3-3, but we're having a blast coaching because we're trying to do something that hadn't been done there in a long time, and we're actually talking about playoffs. Someone was asking about playoff shirts today. I said, well, let's
clinch
put
it
the cart before the
first.
horse.
We gotta get there first before we get playoffs.
We probably need to win 2 more games actually to actually make the playoffs. Now, if good things happen this week and we fortunate enough to beat Woodville, I think we're pretty good, pretty much in the driver's seat, but nothing's for sure.
Now, if you were to make the playoffs, do you think you could become the mayor of Anahuac?
No. Nor would I want to be. No.
Come on. Okay, could you at least be like is there a parade for Gator Fest?
Gotta be
You
got to be
parade.
the marshal, right? Head marshal?
I would think so. I would name
not
you
even
parade
that?
marshal.
Yeah, well, I can do that. I've done that.
Parade
before.
marshal. Oh,
Yeah.
he's done it before.
Yeah.
Well, let me
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Let me ask you this, Coach. I know you've been doing this for a while. Besides WT, who has been your biggest influence on your career?
Well, I look back at all my head coaches. Jack Alvarez is one. He taught me a lot about this offense. And because I came from Oklahoma and I was an I formation, 1-back guy, but I learned about unbalanced lines and learned about trap and the scat, and I think I helped him a little bit with throwing the ball because I really like throwing the football, and just added it to that offense. So Jack Alvarez, I worked for a guy named Tommy Knowles at Moore High School and for about 4 years. And I'm telling you, we were a tight end mecca. We had 3 kids. Frank Romero was one of them, Matt Anderson, Frank, and they went on to play at the University of Oklahoma. I coached Corey Ivy there, who was our running back when I was offense coordinator at Moore, and he went on, played at OU, Tampa Bay. As a state, he was a Super Bowl champion, so I was able to coach 2 Super Bowl champions actually. And then John Lance was my high school coach, my college coach, and my first boss. And he's my guy, John Lance. He's my mentor, and I was his pallbearer also in 2002 or 3. And I was inducted into the Southeastern Oklahoma Athletic Hall of Fame, and he gave my speech, and then it wasn't, I can't remember how many months after that he passed away and unexpectedly, but John Lance, he taught me a lot of football, taught me a lot of how to be a man, and he's my guy, John Lance, yeah.
Okay, and last thing, because we bring it up every week now, it's something we talk about. We know a couple of members. Last week, Cornell Thompson called himself the Antichrist of the slot T Mafia. Have you heard about these slot T Mafia guys? I know you're not welcome. I know you're not welcome.
I'm not a slot T guy, though.
Exactly. So you're not welcome in this mafia.
Right.
So you can't help us out, get into a meeting. That's
Do you know
basically it.
people that could get us in?
The slot T Mafia?
I mean, Coach Matthews says we can't talk about it. Smalley almost got kicked out.
Yeah, almost. He was close.
It's
I mean, Bradley Morgan's a good guy. Bradley has a tough time probably saying no because he's such a good guy.
right.
You need to go talk to Bradley.
There we go. We got an in.
We do have an end. +2. As long as there's a +2 somewhere, that's all that matters.
We're going to get inside. Coach,
Essentially.
thanks for coming on.
All right,
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you,
Best of luck to Anahuac as they look to go 4-0 this week, traveling up to Woodville. It's the Black and Gold Bowl, Eagles, Panthers. I'm putting all my money on the Black and Gold team to win it.
There you go.
But you'll see our
Nice.
Blitz picks coming out tomorrow. We don't say it in front of the coaches because in case we make them mad, he might hit us.
I mean, he's looking jacked up already.
is looking
so
jacked
I'm
up.
jealous. I mean, he's got the pecs
What
going.
have you been doing out there in Anahuac?
Man, it's inherited. My dad's 80 years old. You ought to see him.
Okay.
He's a machine, yeah.
I saw, like-
my dad played at University of Tulsa back in early 60s. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing, I tell our kids when they want water at practice, I said, look, my dad played at University of Tulsa. You know what they did? He said they took wet towels and threw them on the ground, and they'd grab them and start sucking the water. That's how they
That's
would
old
water.
school.
That's old school
Old school
toughness
right
right
there.
there. Yeah,
Now, have you instilled that
and
yet
we
in your
want
program?
misters on the sideline. Yeah.
So I was just thinking maybe you were bored out where you're living now and you were just, just lifting up like you're in the yard in prison or something. I don't know.
Wow.
Well, we do have a nice weight room.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
there
We
you
got
go,
a
yeah.
nice weight room.
Yeah,
So there
we
you
have a
go.
nice weight room.
All right, that's another edition of 49 Sports X's and O's. We'll see you next week. We have no clue who's going to come on. We literally decide the day before, so tune in next week.